Now I'm going to take off my screen sharing and I invite you to click speaker view if you want to see me while I'm preaching. The treadmill that you've been on for decades stopped. Some of you have been thrown off balance, and others of you have been thrown against the wall. I don't know if the human world has ever stopped like this before. There's no historical comparison of what's happening, or rather, what's not happening. It's shocking to lose so much so fast. And not just the 54,000 COVID deaths in the United States so far, not just the 200,000 deaths worldwide so far, but also the loss of income, no freedom to move and travel, no social connections, no plans beyond a week away, and the loss to any kind of answers to the existential questions like, when will this end? When will the restrictions be eased? How many more will die? How many more will get sick? It has been shocking to lose so much so fast. In physics, one of the most important laws is the law of the conservation of momentum. Now, without getting into the details, you already know what this means. If your bicycle is rolling, it takes a minimal amount of energy and pedaling to keep it rolling. But if your bike is stopped, it takes a lot of energy to get it going and get it rolling. To sustain movement takes far less energy than to start movement. Taking that metaphor to our economy, our transportation systems, our daily activities, and even our lives mean that you can't go from a stopped position to full throttle instantaneously. It will take a lot of energy to restart everything that has stopped. But when the world stops, each of us is impacted in a totally different way. For some of you, a large amount of time has been created. For some of you, a large amount of worry has been created. Some of you are pursuing long-neglected yard work or hobbies. Some are barely able to make it through the day, fearing what will happen tomorrow. We're in the same storm, but we're definitely not in the same boat. We are clan creatures, and we like to think that we are all in this together. We like to think that other people feel what we feel and are experiencing the same emotions that we're experiencing. We like to think we're on the same boat. But I'm saying that even within this congregation, we are emotionally out of phase with each other. Some of you say you're doing fine, and some of you are saying not so much. And this is completely okay because it is a time of extremes. It is understandable if you experience a wide range of emotions all within the same day. And so it's no wonder that this is becoming difficult to emotionally navigate these days. And it's disturbing when we realize we're not all feeling the same thing. It's as if COVID has become a multiplier, a magnifier of any stress imbalance that existed in your pre-COVID life. COVID has thrown a monkey wrench into the world's engine and into what was a normal life. Personally, I used to struggle with a short attention span, and now sometimes I can't even finish a simple thought. I used to plan out my weeks for almost a year in advance, and now I have few things planned beyond tomorrow. Prior to COVID, we separated ourselves into divisive factions, both politically, economically, and even spiritually. We were in our clans and groups and hung out and gained identity from our group members. But now, COVID-19 has separated us not into factions, but into completely isolated separate silos. And we want to be with our clans, and we want to be with our groups. This loneliness of being out of phase with others and isolated, apart from our support groups, makes us incredibly myopic. Most of us are only seeing ourselves. Many of us are so shocked by what has happened that it is difficult to think beyond ourselves. Now, this is a natural response to trauma and danger. We survive by looking after ourselves first. But our tendency to be in a clan and our nearsighted focus blinds us to what is happening in those other boats in this storm. Many of us are living in a safe bubble of privilege, just waiting for this to end. Others aren't sleeping at night because the rent is due and there's no money coming in. We are uncomfortable and scared. That makes us withdraw from each other. I'm scared. I'm scared when I read that experts say it may be another 18 months or more before our herd immunity is great enough to resume life without restrictions. I'm scared when I see that the U.S. death curve is beginning to bend, but one forecast shows that it'll be late May before the death rate drops to less than 100 a day. I'm scared for myself and everyone else when the Congregational Budget Office is forecasting a $3.7 trillion deficit, almost a 6% economic contraction, and that unemployment might well reach 12% by December. We haven't had 12% unemployment since 1940, before the ramp up to World War II began. I'm scared that marginalized people all over the world are dying at far greater rates. Yes, I'm scared, but I also know that a shared fear can bring us together. Just look at how people have responded to previous crises like earthquakes, fires, and floods. We're in the same storm. And since, like many of you, I am bouncing between extremes. While I'm scared, I'm also hopeful. In fact, I'm beginning to dislike the storm metaphor, because for me, it just doesn't capture the opportunities that are available to us. Lately, I'm really liking the metaphor of a cocoon. We were fat caterpillars munching away on the earth and fighting each other for the best leaves. But now is a time for a transformation. Now is the time for a metamorphosis. We were caterpillars, and even while we complained, we were comfortable being just what we were. But it is time for a conversion. We have no choice of staying the way we were. We have no chance of returning to the way it was. If you try and remain a caterpillar, you won't make it. But if you use your shelter-in-place cocoon for your own metamorphosis, what might emerge? Most of you will emerge from this, but you'll be changed. You won't be the same as you were before. And maybe that's a good thing. Because if we all transform together, maybe we can truly advance as a culture, as a society, as the human race. But the question is now, do we truly advance when others are left behind? The world has stopped. The law of conservation of momentum says it won't start up easily. If we remove our blinders, what might we see and learn about each other's plight? My prayer for all of you is that you use the great pause to remove your blinders and see the great wrongs of all the caterpillars that we used to be. Let's work for a world where 1% of the butterflies don't control the world. Let's metamorphosize and slowly restart the world to be transformed from what we were. because we will not advance if anyone is left behind. Amen, and blessed be.